Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Hi there, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hersh, and your host, Avi Meyers.
Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. Thank you so much, Marty. Really do appreciate it. Weren't there today. It's during the Omer, but what can you do? We'll catch up to you right before Shavuos time. Check us out on the web, ntnm.org. You can watch all of our shows on YouTube. We're also got a commercial venture going right now on Channel 25. And, just a natural offshoot of what we've been doing. And at this point, we haven't officially started it, but we hope it's working out okay. So, in any event, community policing, caps24.org. And, for all the latest community events, you should be watching our show all the time. Check out Sonny's page on YouTube. Find it through ntnm.org. Thank Joe Chucksay very much for bringing us our next guest. We're talking about the Alderman of the 50th Ward, Alderman Berny Stone. How you doing?
My assistant gets top billing over me. That's great.
Well, let's give him a raise then. You should get a raise if he's getting top billing. That's what I say.
Okay.
So anyway, there's one of the first things I was going to ask you about was the menu. What do you got on the menu for this year? What are you going to do about paving the streets?
I haven't got a menu. The city usually distributes the menu in November or December, and this year they haven't distributed a menu as yet.
Why aren't the salmon running in Copper River? I mean, isn't the food available?
Every alderman is wondering exactly what you're asking about, and the reason we're wondering if the executive branch is trying to solve the shortfall by stopping the individual ward monies by taking that away from us. So I'm concerned greatly about the fact that we haven't got our menu yet. I know what I want to do on my menu, so I can tell you what I want to do. I want to finish my lighting program, which I started last year.
I mean, that's the two-tiered lights, which are very much like on Fayette, which I think have been a big boon to the neighborhood where they are.
Piggyback lighting. We believe that, for one thing, it stops crime. We started at the southwest corner of the ward. We got to finish the Peterson Park portion of the southwest side, and we'll continue down from California east, probably to Western, and some of those streets already have it, but we'll probably go all the way to Western, and probably hopefully up to Pratt.
Pratt would be good. At least the south side of the street, the north side of the street would be good too.
Yeah.
Living on Pratt, that would be nice, yes.
So hopefully we'll get that far, and if possible, even go further east, all the way to, hopefully, to Ridge.
That would also be nice.
Then we have, of course, a few, besides the lighting, we have a few streets that need to be paved. We're fortunate that we're going to have some reconstruction through the stimulus. There are very few north side streets that are being reconstructed under the stimulus, but we have two streets being reconstructed under the stimulus program. Lincoln Avenue, which needless to say badly needs it, which we've discussed before because that was a state route and the city couldn't do anything about the war zone.
Yeah.
And also under the stimulus, California from Pratt to Devon is supposed to be reconstructed.
That would be nice, but you know what?
And reconstructed is more than just paving over. Reconstructed means that you go down beyond the just paving over. It means you do the curbs over. You do if there's sewers that need to be replaced, those sewers are replaced. So reconstructed means reconstructed.
Does that mean like a new concrete base, or?
Well, not necessarily. It means you do whatever underground work has to be done, but it's reconstructed.
Okay, well, given this nature of the sewers, I mean, some of the sewers have already been fixed up around here, but yeah, there's a lot of sewers that are close to that 100-year mark or
Now,
older.
one of the things we were discussing this morning, we had a...
Is it City Council? Or?
Yeah, we had a traffic committee meeting this morning, and Alderman O'Connor presented an interesting idea as to why so many sewers are caving in. You know, a lot of people are saying potholes, potholes. Many of what people are calling potholes are really sewer cave-ins, and we have an unusual amount of sewer cave-ins this year. And
like, for instance, you know, I don't know if you came up Tallman over here, but right around the corner from me, I mean...
You have a big cave-in there.
Yeah. So
Tallman,
that's actually a sewer cave-in?
Yeah, see, one of the streets, for instance, that I want to repave is Tallman, from Devon to Pratt, because it's terrible. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, in any event, but you do have some cave-ins here. But the cave-in, there's an unusual amount of cave-ins this year. And Alderman O'Connor happens to believe that one of the reasons for the number of cave-ins is the thing that we put into the sewers to slow the water from going down and to slow...
Oh, the rain?
The vector. It's called a vector. It was to keep the water from going into the basements, and it slowed the water from going down into the sewer, which let the water stand in the street, and went down slowly into the sewer, and that would keep the water from going into the basements, and it went down slowly as opposed to going down quickly and backing up into the basements.
So that may have caused this additional cave-in?
So what happens is the water sits in the sewer for a longer period of time, and of course the salt, as we're coming to particularly to the winter season, the salt from the melting snow also sits in there, and it corrodes some of the brick that basically holds the sewer up, and as it corrodes it, the sewer starts to cave in. So it's an interesting proposal, and it's an interesting idea that why so many sewers are caving in. So that was one of the interesting things we talked about, and if that's true. Many of our vectors we pulled out because the water was backing so high out into the street. A lot of it was backing up over window wells and going into the basement anyway.
Now, is this another name for the rain blockers? Or?
That is the rain blocker. The vector is the rain blocker.
Gotcha. Because that's a term that at least I know that people understand. So the rain blockers are having an adverse effect. Well, I know there's a few times when you come over here, you've got to wade through... a huge pile because of the rain blocker.
But, you know, it's better that the water sits in the street than backs up into your basement. But in any event, if it has this adverse effect on the sewers, that's not good either. So, you know, for every... We've
got some information. Well, Sonny, can you walk across here without being on camera?
You got to pay
you
for
could have walked that.
You got to pay for every good deed you do, you know. So, so sometimes you do a good deed and it has an adverse effect. But that's one of the interesting proposals. But we'll see. In any event, the reason that Joe has handed me some information that I'm sure the public is very interested in. On June 2nd and July 7th, we will be selling. We'll have the city clerk at our office selling the vehicle stickers, and I'm sure everybody is interested in this because we always do one of the top jobs in the city in servicing our general public.
Well, I won't be buying one.
Why?
I don't have a car.
Oh, you don't have a car? No, you don't need one. And the city clerk will be there from 10 to 5. Also, this year, we're going to have...
so that's 6199 Lincoln.
6199 North Lincoln.
Second floor on top of the closed barn.
Closed barn, right. The treasurer of Illinois is going to be there also. and maybe you want to come because he looks to see whether you got any money that you don't know about. That they have that they always print those things in the newspaper.
Right, where they're looking for people with
hidden funds.
Well, I'll tell you, he's more than welcome to handle my economic stimulus package and
Do you know that one year we found, my sister and I, we found that we had monies coming to us.
Really?
Because my mother had a small bank account. Of course, it took us more time and it cost us money to get the death certificate and everything else than it was really worth, because I think the cost of the death certificate was almost as much money as we got out of the account. Also, I want to let you know that the Secretary of State will be in our office on June 20th.
Jesse White?
June, well, not him himself, but somebody from his
Secretary
office.
of State's office, okay.
Will be in our office on 23rd. Usually Jesse comes by anyway. On June 23rd, between 10 and 3, and they will be handling out the passports, which is a nice service for people who might want to go any place but Mexico right now. Anyway.
Well, basically, listen, if somebody wants to, I want to tell you, this sounds good, because if Junius wants to do my economic stimulus package, I'll go to Argentina with the passport, and we'll go from there.
Maybe you'll find that you have enough money that you can make that trip to Argentina. But it's between 10 and 3 on the 23rd. So you got a couple of dates to remember, which is June 2nd or July 7th for vehicle stickers.
So June 2nd, July 7th, vehicle stickers at 6199 North Lincoln.
And on June 23rd for the Secretary of State.
June 23rd, Secretary of State. And by the way, just coincidentally, June 24th, I'll be skipping my CAPS meeting that day, because the Illinois State Crime Commission's made the mistake of giving me their Community Outreach Award for this year.
Well, that's good. My congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. But you know what I found out? I found out basically I didn't even know what I was getting into. They basically want a list of everybody I've ever met, and they want to go get money from them.
Well, on June 4th, Joe and I will be in Washington, D.C. And the reason we're going to be in Washington, D.C. is because I am one of the honorary chairmen. The historic buildings is honoring the city of Chicago and Mayor Richard M. Daley for their insight into city problems. And they will be given an award along with other cities and other individuals in a dinner in Washington, D.C., and I'm one of the honorary chairmen.
Oh, very nice. Well, you are the head of the Buildings Committee.
And as a result, I'll be delighted. I'm also the vice mayor. I'll be delighted to be at that dinner and honoring the mayor and the city of Chicago.
Very nice.
So, that's quite an honor. And Joe is going to join me, and Joe will be wearing his tuxedo that night.
Oh, very nice.
And we'll have a good time.
Sounds good. Listen, let me ask you. We were talking before about the I didn't know about the sewer stuff with the. In the meantime, you've got all these. Is it worth patching the potholes? I mean, how does that work?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a meeting scheduled with Tom Byrne, the head of the Department of Transportation.
CDOT, our former police commander.
Yeah. Well, somebody came to my office and wanted to show me, in my capacity as chairman of the Buildings Committee, a coating that they use on the facades of buildings. And the purpose of this coating is so that water didn't seep into the facade and corrode the facades of buildings. And like the mortar starts to corrode and comes out. And this would protect the facades of buildings so that the facades wouldn't collapse.
The History Channel just did a very interesting program about, like what happens if man leaves. If man's not around, what happens to buildings? They highlighted Chicago, things like Wrigley Field, the Sears Tower, and they even showed Gary, Indiana, where buildings have been deserted. and water has gotten in and what water has done over the 30 years in Gary.
Well,
it was very interesting
if
stuff.
you'll remember, some years ago at 1 North LaSalle, water got behind the large stone in the face of the building, and something weighing a number of tons fell from that building and hit the sidewalk. Fortunately, it was on a Sunday afternoon, and all it hit was a vehicle. If it hit a number of people, they would have been killed immediately when that large stone hit the sidewalk.
What happened to the people in the vehicle?
There were no people in the vehicle, thank God.
Thank God, a parked vehicle.
It was a parked vehicle. It was a Sunday afternoon on LaSalle Street. Well, I got to tell you. So they came to show me this. It was a powder, and then you just add water to it, and then it turns so almost to like a rock.
Wow.
And so they showed how it got into the actual stone and brick, and it actually went inside. You know, brick is porous, and it could get inside the brick. I said, how does it work in as far as weather conditions? Oh, this will work even in the coldest weather. I says, does it bind on concrete, or does it bind on asphalt? Oh, yes, it binds on concrete, binds on asphalt. So I said, can you color it? And they said, yes. So I said, you know, what you're showing me is for the facade of buildings, but if it's cheap enough, it makes the perfect cold patch that we could use for potholes in wintertime. The problem that we have with potholes is that the cold patch does not bind onto the asphalt or concrete.
Right, so when it gets chipped away, it chips away, and that's it.
It doesn't chip away when a vehicle goes over. It just comes right out of the hole.
Yeah.
And the pothole remains. So, I mean, you filled a pothole, and the same day, the crap that they put in there comes right out. Now, if we could use this powder and turn it to almost rock, and it would bind onto the asphalt, can you imagine we could fill it in the dead of winter, and it would be perfect.
Would that be better than a hot patch?
It would be the same as a hot patch.
So that sounds good to me.
Well, that's why I'm meeting with Tom Byrne to show him this, and it becomes just like a rock. And it binds supposedly on asphalt and on concrete. Now, if Tom likes this, I'm going to have him meet with this company. The company's out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Have him meet with the company, have him check out the cost. The cost is a key part, because this would take a lot of it, needless to say. Remember, we buy asphalt by tons, by the hundreds of thousands of tons.
I believe it.
And I want Tom to see it. I want him to see how it works, because I have the samples they gave me, and the samples are just like rock.
Look, this sounds good, but let me ask you, just to, no, this sounds really good, and I hope it works, and I hope it's cost effective. That sounds absolutely great. But let me ask you, because people are, you know what, I was at Julie yesterday. People started bugging me about potholes.
I don't blame them. How can you drive
No,
it?
but here's what I want to ask you, okay? Just so people are clear, is this something that CDOT handles, isn't it?
Well, normally it would be handled by Streets and Sand. However, CDOT is now handling it.
So Streets and Sands no longer handles the PHs in that
Actually,
sort of thing.
they're both handling it now. But Tom Byrne is the primary mover right now.
Well, let me ask you, like, if you wanted to fix all the PHs in this neighborhood, I mean, would you be finished in a year with the, I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on.
The idea right now, first of all, during the winter time, nothing is basically done, because cold patch does not fix
No,
potholes.
right, but right now when this show airs, we're already talking in May.
The idea is,
yeah.
Can we do it now? The answer is no, and the reason why is we don't have sufficient forces. Even with the hot patch, remember, the hot patch just started getting produced in the factory. I mean, they opened up the hot patch factory at the beginning of April, which was 15 days early. Okay. Normally, it doesn't open until April 15th. So they didn't start producing it in quantity till around April 15th. And the number of crews we have out on the street is minimal. We're operating with short crews now. And normally they bring back temporary crews, and they started to bring them back early this year because we knew we had a major problem.
No.
But it doesn't take a genius to drive down streets and see that the holes aren't being finished.
No, that's why I'm asking you. Because, see, the thing is, people are going to ask me like crazy, and they are asking me, so that's why I'm asking you.
And rightfully so, because the holes are not being patched, or what is being patched is done on a minor basis. What they're doing now is they're starting to patch the major thoroughfares. Then they'll get to the local streets.
So pecking order, I got you.
And it's the usual thing: major thoroughfares first, then local streets second.
Okay, but that's an answer. I mean, this way I can tell people.
But they're very far behind. It's going to take an awful long time. The Sun-Times printed a picture on the front page saying, "Aren't potholes terrible?" And in the middle of the so-called pothole was a sewer cover. That was not a pothole. That was a sewer cave-in. You know, but who's going to tell a major metropolitan newspaper that they printed a sewer cave-in?
Well, I would if I read it, or if other people read it.
But that's what it was. But again, I say to you, we've had a major problem with sewer cave-ins. Now, where are we the most people short? In water management, and we have a major problem in sewer cave-ins all over the city. Now, the water fund is a separate fund. It is a fund within itself. There is sufficient funds to fix every sewer cave-in in Chicago.
Okay.
And what's our problem? We're short the people to send out. Fixing a sewer cave-in is a lot different than fixing a pothole. Fixing a pothole, you take hot asphalt and pour it into the hole. Fixing a sewer cave-in is a lot different.
I've seen it here.
You have to have a masonry that has to go in there and lay brick in. First you have to prepare the hole. Once you prepare the hole, then you have to lay the sewer cover in. Then you have to put a concrete base on it, and then after you've done all of that, then you have to come back later and put asphalt on top of it. It is a major, each sewer cave-in is a major problem. It takes maybe 10 times as long as it does to fix a pothole.
Well, I believe that.
So that's why it is not the same as a pothole, and it is a major problem.
Okay, well, actually, you've gotten rid of a lot of my questions, which is good. Let me ask you about some of the properties in the neighborhood.
Sure.
Is anything going on at Pratt in California where the gas station used to be and the car repair place?
To the best of my knowledge, no. I understand the property's for sale, but at this point, nothing is happening. There's been no request to meet for rezoning or anything of that nature. So at the best of my knowledge, nothing is happening at that corner.
Okay, now, all of a sudden, you've got... now, is this even in the ward, the Z. Frank property?
Part is and part isn't. Part of the Frank property, the property south of Glen Lake is not.
Okay.
The part north of Glen Lake is. He's got on the east side of the street, he has the block north of Glen Lake on the east side of the street. Now there's an empty Dodge building north of Glen Lake. That is in the ward, and that is...
is that where the Walgreens was talking about?
Walgreens is going in on the southwest corner of Glen Lake and Granville and Western.
So, okay, that's where the Dodge thing is.
That's where the Dodge thing is.
And that's basically across the street from where they are now.
It's Actually, it's kitty corner. Oh, it's across the street from where Walgreens is now.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
And that'll be like a half a block long and all the rest of it. And the other
the
half.
other half, they had talked. They were trying to get a bank to take the other half of that block. This will have a drive-in facility also.
Okay. Now, okay. Also, so that's probably covered. So that's at least half covered.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. Whatchamacallit? Okay. The parking garage on Rockwell construction.
Oh, that's going very, very well. They're up to the second floor. In fact, they're pouring the base for the third floor already.
Yeah.
And that's going extremely well. In fact, tomorrow they will be pouring the ramp going up to the second floor.
Yeah.
I passed by there today, and they're moving very fast on that.
Very good. Whatchamacallit?
By the end of the month,
Yeah.
I would say by the end of June, hopefully, we'll be parking cars there.
Okay. Now, construction on the really by the end of June?
Yeah, it doesn't mean the building will be finished, but we'll be parking cars there by the end of June.
Yeah, but once they're parked, can people get them back?
Huh?
Bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to tell at least one joke in 25 minutes.
Is that a joke? Okay.
Okay, it was a bad joke.
Okay.
Anyway, new school construction. The school is being built right now.
Oh yeah, they're doing the. I got to tell you, there's still people meeting with various people, trying to stop the school from construction. The foundation is being dug right now.
Right. As a matter of fact, I had a proposal. Somebody mentioned to me about, let's put it the Z. Frank property, which isn't in the area either.
Well, I don't know. If you're trying to stop construction, the least thing you can do is give us an alternate site. Now, one of the alternate sites they're proposing is Warren Park. Now, Warren Park was a site that was dropped 6 or 7 years ago.
That was in the 90s. There were meetings.
Yeah, right. Well, that's 10 years ago. I remember when the building, the Public Building Commission proposed that, and they almost got hung in the Warren Park.
I was at the meeting. I've just got one or two more short questions and just short answers on them. People still bother me about an alternate road from Kedzie to the school.
What they want to do is create a. First of all, in order to create an alternate road, you have to go across the school property. Okay. There is no way in God's name that you're going to put children in jeopardy by sending vehicles across the school property where the children would have to get off. You can't send vehicles across the school property where the kids are playing. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to put the kids in jeopardy. And I would certainly hope that the Board of Education's got enough brains not to put the kids in jeopardy. How are you going to create a road across the schoolyard? I mean, that's nuts.
Okay. Well, let's switch at this point. Now, we've got about 40 seconds. So, would you like to give us the Gettysburg Address in the next 40 seconds?
No, sir.
Maybe you'd like to thank Sonny for filming the show today, and Joe Chuckday for bringing you.
I think Sonny is the greatest crew that has ever existed in public television.
I fully agree with you. Hey, stay tuned in coming weeks. We've got people like Deputy Chief Ratner. We've got Todd Stroger, Scott Cohn, and Amy. And by the way, the softball game. You going to be at the softball game this year?
Yes, I would hope to be there, and that's scheduled for the 2nd also, isn't it?
That's Monday, June 15th, I believe.
June 15th.
I believe so. Amy will be on the show a couple weeks after this, and she'll fill us in on the date. You can always call the chamber at 743-6022. In the meantime,
Monday, June 15th. Wait a minute. Jewish Federation has got Don Rickles on June 15th. That won't be.
I'm going to the softball game. Anyway, I want to thank very much Alderman Stone, our guest. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, everybody. Dial us up on the web. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.